welcome to Mike's Trains and thanks for joining me for another video. This is where we ended last week. We had done the grass here, filled in all this dirt, got all this stuff kind of done, painted in these little bushes here. So this week I want to get a little further into getting all of this completed, and what I want to start with is a guardrail. Right here, I made this. I think I showed this in one of my other videos. It's corrugated styrene that I cut a couple strips off and just put some posts in the back side. Okay, just like this. You can kind of see that. Where that's going to go is right in here. Okay, so I'm going to drill the holes, and I found this neat little thing here. Because I don't have a lot of height between the shelf above here and the actual layout where I need to drill, I found this little device here. It's really kind of cool. It's a device that hooks up to the end of my Dremel and puts the drill at a 90 degree angle. I thought it was really cool, and we'll try it out and see how it works. Now, I've already put this up here, right up in where I want it to go. And I've marked the hole spots here with a marker. So I'm just going to drill those holes. Well, I gotta say, that was actually pretty sweet. It worked really well. So now I'm going to fit these posts down in here. Well, it looks like one of my holes might be just a little bit off. Alright, so I'm going to mark that back hole one more time, and we'll re-drill it. So I want this one right here. Right there. And that's going to go just like that. And I think that'll work out fine. What I am going to do is we're going to cut down the posts. I'm going to cut these posts a little bit shorter. I don't know why the holes aren't allowing this. So we'll take out the knife, and I'm just going to clip off a bunch on the bottom. Like this. Alright, so there's our guardrail. Alright, so that looks pretty good, I think. Let me move the camera a little bit and you can take a different look at it. So there's a little bit different view of it. I think it looks pretty good, and I think we're going to go with it. I'm going to leave it just like that. I'm not going to bother with it any further. Yeah, I think we'll just go with that. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add some trees into that back corner. So if we set this up this way, what I want to do, I made some trees to go into this area, and I have 3 of them. This is one, which is going to go right here, and we're going to cut a hole. We'll drill another hole right down there. Okay, so the first thing to do to get this tree in here is I want to mark the hole where this is going to go. So I'm going to set this into place, and I'm going to put it right up to the side of the road here, right there. And then we're going to pop a hole right down there. Alright, so that's the first tree hole. And what I want to do is I just want to vacuum up that mess in there before I go any further. Alright, now we're going to stuff this down in the hole. And that's going to go something like that. Yeah, I do what I always do. And I broke it. Alright, let's try this again. That's going to go just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to cut some of this off. I'm just going to cut a little bit of that off. Like that. And then this bush is here. We'll shove those back in the corner there. And I'm losing my stuff here. Alright, then we can pull out some of this. Alright, so that's our first tree. The next tree is this one right here. And this one, I'd like to put it right about here. Right there. And then I have a third tree. This one. It's a little more full. And I'd like to get this tree right at the end over here. What I'm going to do is we're going to shave off the back of this so it sits up in there. And we're going to move that right up in there. So we'll take the scissors, whatever I just did with them right here, and we're going to cut this tree back. See, now I've trimmed the back flat. That will allow me to move the tree back into the backdrop a little further, like that. And we're going to put this tree right here. So I'm going to mark this right here. Right there. Alright, so there's all the trees I'm going to put in there. Let me bring you around the other side and you can get a better look at what this looks like. Okay, so there you go. That's the other side of it. I think it looks pretty good. Now I have more trees to put up in that back down corner there, but I have to put a backdrop across that whole back side first. So that square end of the backdrop, no worries, that will go away. Now I want to handle this closer up area here. I want to ballast, throw some ballast down in here from that back corner there all the way around up to the front end over here. You want to get all that done. And then I didn't really say anything about it, but I've also finished the sidewalk. So this sidewalk here connects to this extra piece I added in here, and it's a pretty good match. It's just a color difference. And then also this crossing right here, don't worry about this. This is all going to change. This has to get repainted and redone, and I haven't fully decided. So this is going to stay like this for the time being. It's a little chipped up. It will all match in the end. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So let me get the ballast down in there, and we'll take another look at it after that. All right, guys. So there it is. And I think we're looking pretty good. All the ballast is in. I just need to drop some alcohol on that and some glue, and then we'll be all set. All set around the sidewalks. Took care of this crater that was over here. And we're ballasted all the way back through here. So that's it. I'm going to glue all that stuff down, and then we'll be able to move on. Alright, so the next part I want to take care of on this before we call this a day is I want to weather this road here, and I'm only going to weather from this wall here, from this point here back to right around here, because this is the hardest part to get into. We have the most done scenery in here, so I want to get this area done right now, and then what I do here obviously is just going to continue on through the rest of this whole thing. So we have a picture here and it's very dark. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to darken up the foreground to match. So what I've used is I have one of these makeup sponges, and I have a small container of graphite. I had this around the house for years and years. It's used for locks, to lubricate locks and things. I just had it, and I just one day had a thing. I was just wondering if this would work for this thing, for this type of thing as well, and it works really well. You just have to be careful if you're going to use the graphite of how much you use, because this stuff gets onto everything. Okay, so it's kind of a mess, but I have a little bit on my sponge here, and I'm just going to push this right into the picture, and I'm going to pull it back like this. Like that. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do with this. The graphite, we won't use this again. Okay, that's it for that. So now I have some clean sponges, and then I have some chalks that I ground up. Let me clean my fingers off. I don't want to get fingerprints, because this graphite will get onto everything and it'll make a mess. Let me wipe my fingers down, because it will put fingerprints on the surfaces there. So now I have some artist pastel chalks that I ground up, and that's right here. So I have a gray, and I'm going to put this on here. It's almost a powder, but not quite, because they were chalk sticks that I ground up into this weathering stuff to use for this. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to grind this in. And you can kind of see what that's doing. It's kind of blending the roadways into itself and all the dark that we added. So now you can kind of see the dark that we have, and it's coming into the foreground. I mean, it's not 100% match, but it's not the solid line that it was originally. So we get all this out of here. We don't need this down here. So this is the remainder of the chalk that we had. So let's brush this out of the way. Alright, so now we have that. And I think it looks pretty good. It goes a little bit further as to blending in the picture into the foreground. I think it's a little bit better. It's still, again, not 100% match, because, you know, after all, it is a picture. Now what I want to do is I have pan pastels. They come in these little things like this. And the pan pastels, I'll put a link to below the video if you want to use these. So I'm taking the sponge and I'm putting a little bit on the end. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to run it like this. And you want to make it as straight as you can. Like that. And take a little bit more. Like that. So now you can see we kind of have these lines coming out of the picture. And then I'm just going to take these on the other side of the sponge here, and I'm just going to take these and blend these down. because we don't want these to be a solid line, right? You just want to have the hint of the traffic where it goes. And we just want to spread that around and grind it and fill it right in there. Like that. And then, so you can kind of see what we have here. Let me see if I can raise up the camera just a bit and get a better down view of this. So that's what we're looking at right now. All right. Now I'm going to take more of a gray color on the side of that same sponge, and I'm just going to drag it through the whole thing like this. Okay, it looks like a lot, but don't worry. We'll do this side as well. Always run it in the direction of the traffic. You don't want to go back and forth this way. You always want to go in the direction of the traffic. So now we have that. So the sponge is really kind of dirty now, right? So we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the clean side. And we're just going to wipe all this down. And then at this point, I think I'm just going to take a paper towel and we'll tone that down a little bit. We'll get a clean paper towel. And I'm just going to clean that and wipe it down. And there you go, that's our road. And we're blended a little bit more into the backdrop back there, right back in there. It's a little closer than it was. And I think we're able to sell that as that's how it goes. Let's move the camera over here. And you can see it a little bit more. It's actually not too bad. I think it looks pretty good. Go off to the side like this. And we can bring it in, and you can see. So we have what looks like more like shadows from the trees that bring that down into the wall of the backdrop. And then we have these other lines here that follow the traffic. And that's what we're going to do, what I'll end up doing for the rest of all of these roads. I'll end up doing that for the rest of this. And I think that'll work for all of this. Now I used a lighter colored pan pastel, so the green, it's sort of a gray green, brown green kind of color. I don't know if that's coming out on there. That's what I used to make the shadow lines on the road. And I started with this. This is a very dark, rusty brown color. And then if that's too much for you, you can always take this. This is the ground up chalks. Okay. We can sprinkle that down all over here. And then we'll take our paper towel. And we can always grind that into the ground. But the chalks you have to really rub in. See, and that'll take down some of the darker color. See, now we got more of a shadow as opposed to lines. There we go. But always follow the line of your traffic, however that's going to fly. Never go back and forth across, always with the traffic. Just like if you're doing staining, things like that, it's always with the wood grain. Yeah, so there you go. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna stop at that point. Yeah, I'm gonna stop at that point. I'm gonna call that and done. And then at the same time, I'm gonna have to go back and do all of this road here, all of this road here, and the rest of this intersection here, and then this little bit of road here. This section over here, I'm not actually gonna weather until I fix all of this that we talked about earlier. That'll have to get fixed before I can go any further, but that's the idea. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at this now through the camera and I think it looks pretty good. See, we have that blended fairly well. I think it looks really good. I'm very happy with it. So there you go. That's a little bit of weathering on the roads. We've added the trees. You know, we took care of the ballast down and through here. Added a guardrail. That's where I'm going to call it done for today. Now, the only other thing that I haven't figured out yet is if I want to make this into a dirted area, sort of a gravelly area for access to the rails for maintenance crews. I haven't decided if I want to do that yet. It would be a perfect place to put it, but I haven't decided yet. I may do that, I may not, I don't know. I've got so much other stuff in here to worry about that I don't think I'm gonna worry about it just yet. So anyway, all that being said, I think that's going to be it for this video and for this week. I've gotten a lot done. You know, 10 minutes go by here in the video, but in reality I've been working on this for a couple of hours, and I think I'm done. I've had enough. So we're going to call it done for this week. I hope you liked what you saw, and if you're just finding me for the first time, please, by all means, you know, subscribe to my channel. Love to have you along. So until next time, everyone stay safe and happy modeling.